All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is, let's be honest, one of the most confusing and frustrating parts of running a business: hiring. Get this right, and you're golden. Get it wrong? Well, things can get messy fast. This quote, it's from an expert in our source material, and wow, does it nail the feeling. So many business owners, and candidates too, feel this pain. The whole thing can feel like this weird, broken ritual where nobody's really sure what they're doing. So whose job is it anyway? The CEO? A manager? Some mysterious person in HR? The real answer is, it depends. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. The right person for the job actually changes as your company gets bigger. So let's walk through that journey, stage by stage. Okay, stage one. We're talking about the very beginning. Your company is small, maybe just a handful of people running on pure passion and a big idea. At this point, the responsibility for hiring, it's crystal clear. It has to be you. Look, at this stage, you're hiring for more than just skills. You're hiring for belief. You're the one who holds the vision. You are the culture. You are the technical soul of the entire operation. Anyone can check a resume, but only you can really hear the answer to a question like, what about our mission actually gets you excited? You're not just filling a seat, you're recruiting a co-believer. But let's be real, you can't be the solo hiring guru forever. As your company starts to grow and you need to hire more people, you doing everything yourself just becomes a massive bottleneck. That's the signal. It is time to bring in your very first internal people person. And according to our source material, there's a magic number for this. Once you hit about 30 employees and all the way up to around 150, that is the sweet spot. It's the perfect time to hire your first person who's dedicated internally to all things HR. And this brings us to a super important role, the HR generalist. Now, this title gets confusing because this person isn't just a recruiter. They're not just an admin. Think of them as the person who builds the engine for your company culture. The biggest mistake you can make here is hiring someone who only does recruiting. A real generalist builds your onboarding process, they help you define your company values, they manage the employee experience long after that job offer is signed. They're an architect, not just a talent scout. And you've got to understand, this difference is fundamental. Here's the way to think about it. A recruiter is a hunter. They're focused externally on finding talent to fill a spot. An HR generalist, though, they're a builder. They're focused internally on creating the systems and the culture that make great people want to stay and thrive. You need both, but they are not the same job. So what happens next? Well, your company might hit a massive growth spurt. All of a sudden, you don't need 1 or 2 people. You need 10, 15, maybe 20 people all at once. Your one amazing HR generalist, they're going to be completely swamped. And that right there, that is a recipe for total disaster. It just leads to burnout, to rush decisions, and ultimately to bad hires. When you get to this point, it is a huge flashing sign that you need to call for some external backup. And you've pretty much got 2 main options. So, do you go with a freelance recruiter or a recruiting agency? Honestly, it completely depends on what you need. A freelancer can be a fantastic, really cost-effective choice for filling more standard, straightforward roles. But if you're hunting for a C-level executive or some super specialized engineer, a full-service agency gives you a much deeper level of market research, structure, and vetting that's often worth the extra cash. Okay, so we've covered who should be doing the hiring at each stage, but what happens when the whole process goes horribly, hilariously off the rails? Let's get into some unbelievable but true stories from the recruiting front lines that show just how wild it can get. I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up. A company interviewed this amazing senior developer on a video call. They loved him, hired him on the spot, and then on the first day of work, a completely different, way more junior person shows up pretending to be him. A literal bait and switch. Unbelievable. Next up, the classic hot mic nightmare. A recruiter, thinking the video call was over, starts giving their brutally honest feedback to a coworker, not realizing the candidate is still on the line and can hear every single word. Ooh, the secondhand cringe is just, it's overwhelming. This one just floors me. Picture this. A candidate makes it through round after round of interviews. They get all the way to the final meeting with the CEO and then asks what the company actually does. You can just imagine how fast that meeting ended. And the list of just bizarre behavior goes on and on. From the candidate who literally paused the interview because it was his scheduled soup time, to the guy who thought, you know what, a bubble bath is the perfect professional setting for this video call. It is a jungle out there, people. Okay, so these stories are funny, but they point to a much deeper, much more serious question that every single business owner has to ask themselves. Is your hiring process professional, respectful, and efficient? Or is it a chaotic mess that's actually scaring the best people away? And really, this is what it all boils down to. This is the key takeaway. Hiring isn't just an admin task you check off a to-do list. It is a high-stakes sales process. You are selling your company's future to the candidate. And at the same time, you are selling that candidate's potential to your team. The moment you start treating it with that level of importance, you change the entire game. So the final question is, are you ready to be a better salesperson?